Hi everyone, it's Stephanie with Maureen Bradley Designs. I am your host, and today I'm sharing with you how I'm making these whimsical rainbow dreamy stretch magic bracelets. This is a fun, super easy design using some faceted rondelle glass beads paired with some multicolored polymer heishi discs, and I'm offering some tips and tricks on how I'm making these bracelets, to include a knot on how to secure your bracelets that does not use glue. And so if you're already making some stretch bracelets, I hope that what I offer today is just going to enhance what you're already doing. So please don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel. And leave me a comment. I love reading your comments. If there's anything that you would like to see in the future, please let me know that too. So let's get down to the mat and have some fun creating some colorful and festive stretch magic bracelets. All right, so here are some of the stretch bracelets I have made, and all of them have the faceted rondelles, glass rondelles, and I've paired them with multicolored polymer clay heishi discs. So each of these is a 7-inch bracelet that I use for, if you have like a 7.5-inch wrist, I make a 7-inch bracelet. So those are the bracelets that I made already to share with you. Some tools in order to make a stretch bracelet is, of course, your stretch magic. This I'm using 0.7 millimeter in diameter. It also comes in 0.5 millimeter and also 1 millimeter. And that is dependent on how the sizing of the hole of the bead that you're stringing. Today I'm using 0.7 millimeter because I want to be able to double my strand of stretch magic for my beads. You will need a pair of cutters to cut the stretch magic. And then I do have a pair of pliers, chain nose pliers, so that I can tie the knot. It helps with tying the knot. And then I have a ruler to measure the length of my bracelet. And then your beads. You can choose whatever beads you would like for your bracelet. I would just take care to note how big the size of hole, and that you want to use the appropriate stretch magic for that hole. Again, I'm using 0.7 because I want to double my bracelet, the stretch magic I use in my bracelet. And then I have my beads that I picked out, my polymer clay heishi beads and my faceted rondelle. So to start, I'm just going to push these tools to the side, and I'm going to come in a little bit so that you can see what I am doing here. So the first thing I do for the stretch magic is I take it, and I usually have it in one of these grooves like this. And so I usually take off enough for a bracelet, and that is usually I go once to one of these grooves, and then I go twice, and that is usually enough for a double-stranded bracelet without too much waste. Oops. So that's what I do to get the length of stretch magic I need for my stretch bracelets. All right, I've already cut away a piece, so I'm just gonna wrap this back around on the spool, and then I'm gonna work with the piece that I cut. And I usually double it up, and then on the stretch cording, you want to give it a little pre-stretch. And you're pre-stretching this so that, one, it sort of conditions your stretch cording so that it doesn't get excessively large, or give or cause the stretch magic. It sort of takes out that initial give on the stretch cording so that your bracelet maintains its shape and sizing. How about that? I think that's correct. Yeah, so I'm just, giving it a little pre-stretch so that it will maintain its size and it conditions it. All right, so I'm done doing that, giving my little pre-stretch. And then one thing I forgot to mention is before you give it a pre-stretch, we should have done this. You want to hold your Stretch Magic cording up to the light to see if there's any little places that are flawed or have like an indent on them, because that is going to be a place where your bracelet could possibly break. So I'm just going to hold this up to the light a little bit and just make sure I don't have any lines or indentations or flaws in my Stretch Magic cording before I use it, because you want to catch that before you give this bracelet away and it pops. I made a bunch of these last year for my son and his classmates, and the knots all held up beautifully, which I'm so excited about. But I did have one child that did not put the bracelet on correctly, even though I told my son to please tell all your friends to roll them on, don't pull them on, because I'll use mine as an example. I love this one. So when you take them, you want to roll them off, and you want to roll them on. Like so. Yanking them on will stretch them out and can cause them to break, which is what happened with my son's friend. I asked him, I said, did you tell him how to put it on? He said, yes, but he just yanked it on. And of course the bracelet just popped. And when I inspected it, because he did bring it back to me, when I inspected it, the knot was perfect. But I guess there must have been a flaw, which is another reason why I was telling you to hold it up to the light and to see if there are any indentations or any type of like lines that may be like a little weak point in your cording, because it will break if it gets pulled or caught on anything. So just something that I have learned as I've been making stretch bracelets. All right, so now we can move forward now that we've inspected our cording. And I have a piece of just extra stringing wire. I save my scraps because you never know what you're going to need them for. And this is one clever little thing, is that you can use it to feed your beads onto your cording. So now that I've got that going, I'm going to bring my beads in, and on the bracelets, my pattern has been a faceted rondelle and 3 Heishi beads. However, they are coming off of the spool, or excuse me, off of the strand. I did not really mess with them in any way. I just grabbed them off of the wire like that. So that's the pattern for each of these. All right, so I have pre-stretched my cord, and I'm getting ready to feed my beads onto my little bead string wire as my little needle. I always started with a glass rondelle, and you're just going to feed everything onto. I will say that as I looked at these, and if I had 2 colors the same, let's see, can you see? If I had 2 colors that were the same, I did sort of exchange them and place them so that they weren't both together. And here's another thing. These little tiny thin shavings, I throw those away. So get you another one. And of course, there were 2 pinks together. And so you can see here that I've sort of split them apart with the cream color in the middle. All right. So I'm just going to continue feeding these on. Just going to place them like that. Again, throwing away any of the little shavings, because I don't know. You might like to keep them, but I don't think they really add anything but trouble. So I'm just going to continue feeding my beads onto my cord until I've reached 7 inches. All right, so I have finished stringing my beads onto my Stretch Magic. Let me get this out of the way. And before I tie the knot on my bracelet, I just give it a little look-see here to make sure I have enough beads. I've ended with about 7 inches. You know, it's right in the middle of those beads, so that's going to be perfect. I just don't like to have it under 7 because sometimes when it's under 7, I've noticed when people wear it, the Stretch Magic shows. So, and then I have a rondelle on one side, a glass rondelle, and I've ended with the polymer clay heishi beads. All right, so now we're going to do the knot. So you might have to give it a little bit of a stretch again to have enough room. But on this end, so we've got the 2 ends, and then on this side we have our loop. Make sure I'm in the camera. So I'm just going to take my needle out of my loop and put that down. And then I'm going to feed one of those ends through my loop like so. And I've got it caught on. And then I'm going to push all the beads down towards my loop, making sure everything's snug. I don't have any. All right, and that's okay if you have exposed over here, because we're going to fix that. All right. So we're going to move that down like that, and we're going to do a surgeon's knot. So I'm going to cross over, push my one end under one time, and then a second time, and I'm going to pull on those 2 ends so that my bracelet's snug. And then I'm going to do an overhand knot. All right, snug, just gently pulling on it. And then I turn it towards me, and I'm going to hold on to one of those ends, and I'm going to pull it open, and I'm going to make sure that my knot is snug. See? It's not going anywhere. All right, so we've got our first knot, and then we're going to do a second knot. We're going to pull those 2 strands together, and we're going to do an overhand knot like so. And then I usually take my pliers and I insert it in there in the loop, and then I grab both of those ends with my pliers and pull them through. And then I want this knot to be just a little bit above the surgeon's knot we just created, like that. And I'm just tugging on it and making sure it's snug. And that is your knot. No glue is required. So I'm going to take my beads now, and I'm going to pull them through the knot, both of those knots one time, and then a second time. And I want that knot to come out of my second bead, like so, be right there. And then I'm going to push my third bead over the knots, and then this is going to go over my knots as well, those different layers. And then you can just feed everything up until your bracelet regains its composure again and you have no gap in it. And now we're going to clip this away. And I usually get right in there, taking care not to clip the knot that's going through your bead. So you may have to pull it just a little bit away and then clip it. And that is your stretch bracelet with no glue required. You want to do one more? Let's do one more. So there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and just secure my Heishi beads with that fishing wire that they string it on. I'm going to put that over there, and I had a few of those beads left over, so I'll take care of those later. The second one I pulled out was this one. Don't you just love red and turquoise together? And I thought it was perfect for Christmas. So let's do this one. Let me find, I may have to clip this one away. There we go. So I'm going to pull a bunch of these off, put them on my little pumpkin tray so that they don't roll off on me. And then I'm just finding this little end here so that I can string it. Looks like I may have to cut that, or is it, okay, maybe it's this side. Usually the one side just is folded under. All right. So again, I'm going to take my Stretch Magic and I'm going to come around one time. And then I'm going to go a second time. And I've just found that that keeps me from wasting a ton of the Stretch Magic. And I just give it a little clip. I forgot to show you, this is all that was left of this. Whoops, I grabbed some wire. This was all that was left. And really you're just needing that so that you have something to hold on to. All right, so I've got my double piece here. And I've got my two ends together. And I've just got it wrapped around. Oh, and let's not, before we stretch, we need to inspect it. So I'm just holding it up to the light and making sure there's no little indentations or any flaws in my piece that I cut away. And then I'm just pre-stretching. All right, I've pre-stretched, and I'm going to grab my little stringing wire here. And I'm going to start with a red rondelle. Bringing it down. And then I'm grabbing 3 of those Heishi beads. And it looks like I have another thin, really thin piece that I'm just going to toss out. And I think the other 3 are okay. Whoops, I am all fingers. Okay. So I'm just going to add these onto my, oh, okay, those are okay. Okay. Oh. Add that one. I love these various greens in this strand. It's so pretty. And I just love it with that bright red. So there's my pattern. I'm going to finish stringing so that I have 7 inches. All right, I finished stringing this one and it is 7 inches. And before I show you the knot on this one, I just want to say a couple things about stretch bracelets. And that is that they do not last forever. When I first started making these, I promised myself I would not start making them and selling them until I found a tried, true, sure enough way that they would at least last, you know, long enough through a lot of wear. And these do get a lot of wear and tear because you're moving them and you're stretching them over your wrists. your hand and your wrist, and especially if you're pulling it on and not rolling it on. The rolling it on will extend the life. And then also, you know, my son has a beloved stretch bracelet I made him 2 years ago, and I've restrung it twice now. It's been about each year I've had to restring it. And with that, it's because he wears it all the time. I mean, he doesn't wear, I've talked him out of wearing it in the shower, and I've also talked him out of wearing it to play soccer and sports and sweating all over it. So that has prolonged the life of his bracelet, but just the action of wearing it all the time just wears it out. Putting it on, taking it off. And then these polymer heishi beads, they do absorb the oils on your skin. If you are wearing it to garden or play sports, it will absorb your moisture from your skin. And so at some point you will have to restring it. And so this is a great way to preserve the life of your bracelet. And the knot that we're using doesn't require any glue. So that is always nice, because I feel like the glue does something to the Stretch Magic as well. I don't know if it eats at it or what, but I've tried it with the glue, and I've had it to where it looks like it's eating away at the Stretch Magic. And it could have been the glue I used as well. But I love this knot because you don't need glue. It works. So let's finish this knot, and I will think about anything else that I can tell you about stretch bracelets. So let me just give this a little stretch out a little bit so that I can not lose my loop on that end. Again, we're going to take one of the ends and we're going to place it through the loop like so, and bring that up, and we're moving all of our beads. And remember, I ended with a glass rondelle, and the 3 heishi beads so that it's even all the way around. And I'm just pushing those beads all the way around so there's no gap. All right, and that's fine. And then we just move it down like so. All right, it's so pretty. I love how the red looks with the turquoise and green. So beautiful. And we're going to do our surgeon's knot. We're going to push that end 1 time and then 2 times, and then bring it down, tugging on it just a little bit, and then the overhand knot all the way down, giving it a little tug. And then I take one end and I open and I pull on it like that, so you can make sure the knot's not going anywhere. Then I take the 2 ends and I'm going to tie an overhand knot, and I just grab my pliers so that I can slip it here and grab those 2 ends to pull them under. It just makes it easier. And then again, I want that knot about 1/4 of an inch away from my initial knot. Oops. I'm just going to push that down. And if by chance it does that to you, you can just do this and pull on it. That way it's not. There you go. And then we just make sure it's tight and snug. Your 2 knots. And then I pull my Stretch Magic through both knots. One, and then I'm going to pull it over this bead out like that, and then I'm pushing the other beads over this, and then I'm going to pull this so that my Stretch Magic regains its elasticity, and we're done. We just have to clip away the extra. All right, taking care not to clip the strand. That's how much I had left. So nice that it doesn't waste any. Not much. There you go. We did 2 stretch bracelets today. Now you'll be making stretch bracelets for everybody. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you find it useful. If you can, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope that you have many happy hours. I spent one day making all of these, and they were just so much fun to make. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for spending your time with me, and I hope you enjoy. Happy holidays to you and yours. I will see you soon.